You know, every single time you're online, or you're using an app, or even just walking down a street with CCTV, your personal data is being collected. It's happening constantly. But what are the rules? Who's in charge of all this? Well, today, we're going to untangle the UK's pretty complex web of data laws.
So, who really controls your personal data? I mean, it's a huge question, right? And the answer, well, it isn't as simple as you might think. The law actually gives you a surprising amount of power. But here's the catch. You've got to know what that power is and how to use it. And that's exactly what we're here to break down today.
All right, so let's start with the foundation. The cornerstone of all data protection in the UK is something called the UK GDPR. That's the General Data Protection Regulation. Just think of this as the main rulebook. It sets out all the fundamental principles for how your data should be handled by, well, by everyone.
Okay, but before we get any further, let's get on the same page. What is personal data? Well, under the law, it's incredibly broad. Seriously, it's not just the obvious stuff like your name and email. It can be your location data, your phone's IP address, or even your health records. Basically, if it can be traced back to you, directly or indirectly, it counts.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. These 6 principles you see here, they are the absolute bedrock of the UK GDPR. You can think of them as the non-negotiable rules of the game. First, your data has to be used lawfully, fairly, and transparently. No secrets. It can only be collected for a specific, clear purpose. No fishing expeditions. They should only take what's necessary. That's data minimization. It's got to be accurate. They can't keep it forever. And, maybe most importantly, it has to be kept secure. Every single organization, big or small, has to play by these rules.
And here's the crucial part. The UK GDPR doesn't just put a bunch of obligations on companies. No, it actually gives you what I like to call data superpowers. These are your fundamental rights. You have the right to ask a company, hey, show me everything you have on me. That's the right of access. You can correct it if it's wrong. You can even, in some cases, have it completely deleted, the right to be forgotten. This is your personal toolkit for taking back control.
Okay, so if the UK GDPR is the main rulebook, you might be wondering, where does the UK's own law fit into all this? Great question. Let's talk about the Data Protection Act of 2018 and see how it builds on that foundation.
This comparison here really just nails it. It's the perfect way to think about it. The UK GDPR sets out the what. It gives us those big overarching principles and rights. Then, the Data Protection Act 2018 comes in and explains the how. It tells us how those principles apply specifically here in the UK. It kind of fills in the gaps and creates specific rules for things like national security or crime prevention. So what the Data Protection Act of 2018 essentially did was take the whole framework of the original EU GDPR and formally write it into UK law. This was super important, especially after Brexit, to make sure that those strong data protection standards continued. It also customizes the rules for UK-specific needs, with detailed sections covering everything from law enforcement to the intelligence services.
Right, so it's all well and good having these rules on paper, but what happens when somebody breaks them? Who's the referee? Who actually enforces all of this?
The answer is this group, the Information Commissioner's Office, or the ICO. These guys are the UK's independent regulator. Their entire job is to uphold our information rights and make sure everyone's playing fair. They really are the watchdog in the world of data protection.
And don't be mistaken, the ICO has some serious teeth, and their power comes directly from the Data Protection Act. They can launch investigations based on complaints from people like you and me. They can issue legal notices that force organizations to change their ways. And of course, the big one. They can slap companies with massive fines for serious breaches. We're talking millions, sometimes even hundreds of millions of pounds.
But here's the thing about the world of data. It never, ever stands still. So the conversation is already shifting. It's moving beyond just protecting data to actively using it in new and innovative ways. And that brings us to the next chapter in the UK's data story.
Yeah, we're seeing this major shift in thinking. The new focus, as laid out in the Data Use and Access Act 2025, isn't just about locking data down and protecting it. It's about empowering you and businesses to access and share that data securely for everyone's benefit.
And when you look at the key ideas in this new act, you can really see the ambition. Just imagine being able to switch your bank or your energy provider in a snap and taking all your data with you hassle-free. Or using a single, trusted digital ID to prove who you are online without having to upload your passport a million times. And what about seeing a trust mark on a website so you know instantly that they handle data responsibly? That's the goal here, to build a data economy that's not just powerful, but also trusted and genuinely useful.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. After all that, what are the key things you really need to remember? Let's pull it all together into a simple, practical toolkit. Here it is, all in a nutshell. First, you've got the UK GDPR. That's your foundation, the thing that grants you your core data rights. Then, the DPA 2018 takes those rules and applies them specifically within the UK. If things go wrong, the ICO is the independent watchdog that has your back. And looking ahead, the Data Use and Access Act 2025 is all about the future, focusing on data access and empowerment. See? Together they form this multi-layered system that's designed to both protect you and empower you.
And that leaves us with one last really crucial question. These laws provide the framework, right? But technology is moving at an incredible pace, faster than ever before. So the real challenge ahead for all of us is making sure that as our data becomes one of the most valuable resources on the planet, we build a culture that uses it wisely, ethically, and for the benefit of everyone. So I'll leave you with this. What do you think that future should look like?